Hi, my name is Pedro. This is Gonzalo, and we're here to talk about James, the credit risk AI. We've been helping lenders to adopt AI in production for the last 4 years. Especially what we specialized in is working on helping them get production-ready, regulatory-compliant, high-performance models that they can use in real-life situations. That's what we're going to do today. James has two main types of models: the traditional type of model, the scorecard, and advanced machine learning based. We'll start now with the scorecard first. This is our validation page. This is generally where a risk officer or regulator are interested in these metrics. This is how you know that your model is good enough. And scorecards are relatively simple constructions. They've been used in the industry for decades, and they work great. They're easy to build, they're easy to understand. However, they do not get the full performance that you can get. You still leave a number of defaults uncaught. You'll still leave a lot of loans ungiven. And for getting the really good performance, you need to use machine learning. So we're going to do the following. We're going to build quickly a basic machine learning model. We're going to use a state-of-the-art gradient boosting classifier, and we're going to go ahead and partition some data for validation. You've probably already seen this kind of approach to risk. And the important part now is this console. So this is the console where a risk officer can build absolutely any feature that they want. They can explore the data, get used to it. Or with these modern tools, it can essentially say, I'll trust you on this one, James, do your best, run everything on automatic. Here, in the interest of time, obviously, we're going to do full automatic. It's going to run a bunch of experiments in parallel and attempt to find the best possible credit scoring model given this data. And now we've pre-run it because it takes a few minutes, and we can see the result. So we get to the page, we notice that we have a 10% improvement in predictive power, and this is where every machine learning startup ends their demo, right? The number is green, the metric is up, everything's great, and we can go home. And that's not a very good idea. And what I want to tell you today is that we are not only about machine learning, we are a credit risk company that uses AI. And actually what I want to talk about today is completely not to do with all of this cool metric stuff. It's this understand the model button. You've probably heard about AI explainability. This is where we've been spending a lot of our research time over the last few years. Because there are a few non-technical questions that a risk officer is asking herself at this point. How do I understand how these inputs affect my model? What if someone comes in with a lower salary but longer time at their employer? Do I have an intuition that agrees with what this model is thinking? Can I see how it is thinking? And crucially, and this is the really important part, do I trust this model with real loans, with real lives, with real money, of course? And these are not trivial questions. You'll notice that James already flagged a few things, so let's go into this feature dependency and see what it's so worried about. What it's worried about is that we have a bunch of features, some of which are way more important than the others are. So what we can see with or we'll be able to see with the features is that we have a huge dependence on one of the variables in particular, which is expenses. So you can see this model decided, okay, the most important thing is expenses. And this happens a lot with machine learning models where they think, I can kind of predict this whole thing just looking at this feature. And on the flip side, it looks at salary and says, yeah, salary doesn't really matter. And as a risk officer, this worries us, right? So we go, that doesn't match my intuition, so we dig deeper. And we go and see, okay, what's up with this? Salary is bigger is better, fine. And expenses is bigger is better. Terrifying. Why? Now think about this. Your data has loans that you have given to people, right? Doesn't have the loans you denied. And loans which have high expenses are correlated with high salaries. So what your data is telling you is, listen, find people with high expenses and give them loans as much as you can. That seems obvious from the data point of view. And this is the big danger with machine learning tools which are not specialized in credit risk. They don't include the intuition of the risk officer. And what we can come here and say now, and this is why interpretability is so crucial, is, James, this does not match my intuition. That's just not something I can put in production. Now go ahead, force monotonicity, and train with this piece of information in mind. Expenses are smaller is better. And what we've just done here is something that AI can now do, which is mix business intuition and data. It's going to train again using this piece of information that I've given it. That's super important. Now we can go and explore other features, but there are a couple of things that I want to show you other than this retraining mode. Hands up how many people have had someone try to sell them alternative data today in some way or another. The idea that we can just add more and more data is something that unfortunately is quite common, not as much among serious practitioners, but from people who are trying to essentially find something to sell in the middle of this machine learning craze. And we're actually generally on the lender side saying, listen, let's see of all of these data sources, which ones you can get rid of. You will get a simpler model, which you can trust more, and you'll save a fortune on data providers. For example, in this case, James is showing us that we can get rid of 3 features, 2 of which are bureau scores, and keep performance exactly where it is. So, okay, same flow as before, train again, take that information in mind, go back in. The last feature I want to show you is something we actually learned from the risk officers, which is, before I put anything into production, I want to play around. I want to see what the model is thinking in extreme cases. I want to understand what it's trying to do. So for example, what if someone comes in with a very good salary, but who's just joined the job? How would my model interpret that? What happens the reverse? Someone who's been at an employer for a really long time, but maybe is asking for a huge loan amount on a small salary. I want to make sure that my intuition matches this. So let's say that we're comfortable with all of this and we've explored sufficiently. One thing that we've done is a large number of steps. So reporting is generally the big problem at this point, right? So you spend 1 minute doing a model, you spend 4 minutes per every minute doing a report. We've built all of this into this download report button, which essentially does a full regulatory report of every step that we've done. Also, from within James, we can press the deployment, meaning that James actually takes care of building the API and the API documentation. And this is how the future of lending should be. Machines and risk officers using data and expertise together, using AI to create the best credit scoring models that you can. Thank you.